Hi everyone, coming to the next topic in the subject cloud computing was cloud security mechanisms. So there are different types of cloud security mechanisms. Let us see what are those different types. The different types of cloud security mechanisms are encryption, next is the PKI, that is the public key infrastructure. Public key infrastructure. So this is one type of security mechanism. Next, SSO means single, S for single, S for sign on, single sign on. And the next mechanism was IAM. So this is identity, I for identity and A for access, M for management. Identity and access management. So these are the different types of cloud security mechanisms. So whenever you are asked to write about what are the different cloud security mechanisms or explain about cloud security mechanisms, let's explain about these topics. Encryption, public key infrastructure, single sign on, identity. Sorry, this is identity. Identity and access management. Okay, so now let's see the first one, that is encryption. What do you call this encryption? So why we are discussing about the encryption. So how this encryption will be secured? Suppose if data is in readable format, so whatever you have taken, that is, let me take that plain text. The plain text, that is a plain document, or if this is a readable format, okay, the plain text is always in readable format. So suppose if data is in readable format, then we call it as a plain text. So when we transmitted the plain text over a network, suppose if you want to transfer the data over a network, okay, when we transmitted plain text over a network, there is a chance for hacking the data. So whenever you, suppose you want to send some confidential or the private information to one of your friends, okay, through network. So whenever you are sending that confidential matter, otherwise if you are just take the PIN numbers, if you want to send the PIN numbers or whatever the debit card, credit card details, okay, suppose if you are sending the plain data, complete the code, means the debit card number or the PIN number or credit card PIN. So if you send like that only simply, then there is a chance for hacking over the network. So then to avoid that hacking, we are introducing the concept encryption. So this encryption is a mechanism, okay, so it's a digital coding system dedicated to preserving the confidentiality and integrity of data. So this encryption mechanism is going to be make a data confidential and integrity. So it is used for encoding the plain text data into a protected and unreadable format. So this plain text, which is a readable format, is encrypted. So encrypted means converting this plain text into unreadable format. So encrypted data is always unreadable format, whereas a plain text is a readable format. If you want to transfer the data from one place to the another place, okay, through confidential, so make that plain text first to encrypted by using encryption mechanism. So that encryption mechanism is used for encoding the plain text data into a protected and unreadable format. So at the end, the plain text will be received, which is a readable format. This complete process will be done over the network. Okay, so let me write the definition for encryption. Actually, encryption technology commonly relies on a standardized algorithm called cipher to transfer the plain text data into encrypted data. Okay, so actually the data which is encrypted, that data you call it as a cipher text. Encryption So encryption is applied on plain text data. So the data is paired with the string of characters. So here the data is, that plain data is paired with string of characters called encryption. Okay, so the encryption key is used to decrypt the ciphertext back to its original data. So what it means? So let's take a plain text. Okay, so this is a plain text. A plain text will be transferred into, first this will be transferred into encryption, that is a cipher form, so which is a ciphertext, and finally again it should be decrypted. Okay, so first the plain text will be converted into the ciphertext. The ciphertext is nothing but it is a encryption technology commonly relies on a standardized algorithm called cipher. So to transfer the plain text data into encrypted data, you call it as a ciphertext. Okay, so after that, if you want to send the data to the destination, you need to decrypt it. So this is the encrypted and next is the decrypted. So another name for this is encrypted. So why we are doing all these things? To maintain the data security. So this is one type of cloud security mechanism, encryption. So encryption is a process of converting the ordinary or a plain text into ciphertext. Let me write these two definitions. So don't be confused. Encryption, decryption. So the reverse technique is the decryption. Encryption means, encryption is the process of converting plain text, that is the ordinary text. So whatever the plain text it is there, so it's a process of converting the plain text into unreadable format. The unreadable format is nothing but the ciphertext. Okay, so encryption is a process of converting the plain text into ciphertext. You call it as encryption. Decryption means is the process of, just reverse of encryption, process of converting ciphertext into plain text, so that the destination, the receiver can read what the data is. So in between the source, so this is the source and here this is the destination. If you want to send the data from source to the destination, that data should be following one of the cloud security mechanism, that is the encryption. So encryption is the process of converting the plain text into ciphertext. Okay, and after converting, if you want to reach the destination, so that the person at destination can read the data. If he wants to read the data, that data should be decrypted. So the decryption is a process of converting the ciphertext into plain text. Okay, so there are two common types of encryptions are there. One is the symmetric and another is the, let me write that. There are two common types of encryptions. So one is symmetric encryption, another is asymmetric encryption. So what do you mean by this symmetric and asymmetric encryption? So let me explain that. So symmetric expression is nothing but it uses the same key for both encryption and decryption. So if you want to transfer the plain text into unreadable format, you need to encrypt the data. Okay, so for encrypting you need one key, one common key. Okay, so that key is used for both encryption as well as decryption. Okay, so that in the symmetric encryption uses same key for both encryption and decryption. So for encryption and decryption we use the same key, whereas in asymmetric encryption uses different keys, for that is private key and public key. So that this is the main difference between the symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption uses only one key. Okay, so that is the encrypted key for encryption, and for the decryption uses the same key. So whereas in asymmetric encryption uses different keys. One is private key and another is the public key. Symmetric encryption is also called as secret key cryptography. It is also called as secret key cryptography. Means secret key means only one key we are using. That is only one key we use for encryption and decryption. That key is a secret key. So that's why the symmetric encryption is also called as secret key cryptography. A cryptography is nothing but is a process of converting encryption and decryption. The complete process from plain text to encryption, encryption to decryption, decryption to the source destination. That complete process you call it as a cryptography. So the symmetric encryption is also called as secret key cryptography, whereas asymmetric encryption is also referred as, it is also called as public key cryptography. Public key cryptography. Okay, so here private key is only known for the owner itself. So the asymmetric encryption is also called as public key cryptography. So let me show you in the diagrammatic form what is this encryption and what is this decryption. So let me show you. Before that, I just want to let's take the plain text. Okay, so let's take the plain text as X. So X is a plain text I had taken, and here this X is this plain text X should reach the destination. So whatever the data that I send X, the destination has to read that X value. So this X is I applied encryption algorithm. Encryption algorithm I applied on this X, means the secret key I introduced here. Okay, so this is a secret key. So this secret key shared by sender as well as the receiver. So transmitted cipher. Cipher text is nothing but the encrypted data. So in the form of Y is equal to encryption of K comma X. X is our data and K is a key. Okay, this X and K is complete, both will encrypted, and that value will be stored in Y. So this Y is which is in unreadable format. Unreadable format. So Y is in unreadable format. Why it is unreadable format? Because the data is, it's the original data, plain text is encrypted with the key value. Okay, so that key encrypted with key, that will be stored in Y, which is an unreadable format. So after that, here you need to decrypt it. So decrypt algorithm. This consisting of one key. So this is also the same key. It's a secret key shared by both the sender as well as the receiver. So with the help of the secret key, the data will be decrypted. So how? Now X is equal to decrypted K comma Y. And finally you will get the plain text, which is X value. So this is how the process will be transmitted. So this completely and cryptography. This complete section you call it as a cryptography. Encrypted, decrypted. Okay. So let me show you the difference between this the two common types of encryptions. I said the symmetric and asymmetric. So let me show you. Let me take the fresh page. So symmetric encryption. Okay. So first the sender was there. Sender sends the plain text. Sender sends the plain text. So this plain text is encrypted by using key. Okay. So that is in the form of ciphertext. Okay. So next, the receiver wants to receive that. So he has to decrypt it and convert it into plain text. Receiver. So this is a symmetric process. So in this symmetric process, for encryption as well as the decryption, we use the same key. Same key is used to encrypt and decrypt. So this you call it as a shared key. This you call it as a shared key, shared secret key we used. So this is a symmetric encryption. So don't be confused. The sender is wants to send the data to the receiver. Okay, one person is sending important secret message to another person. So we are using one of the security mechanism, that is the encryption, encrypting the data. So that forms a ciphertext. So the ciphertext, this for encryption and decryption we use the same key, that is a secret shared key. Let's see the asymmetric encryption. Asymmetric encryption. So here the sender sends a plain text. Plain text. So that plain text should be encrypted. Encrypt. So that is converted into ciphertext. Okay. So next this will be going to be decrypt. If the receiver want to see the data, it has to be decrypt. Converted into plain text. And here the receiver will receive the data. Okay. But the difference between the symmetric and asymmetric is, here we are using the same key for both encryption and decryption, that is a shared secret key. But whereas in asymmetric we use different keys. For encryption and decryption we use different keys. Different keys will be used for encryption and decryption. So this you call it as a recipient's public key. One is public key, and for decryption recipient private key will be needed. So the sender is sending the message by using the public key. The data is encrypted in the public key. The receiver who wants to receive the data, okay, he want to see the data, that person has to use his private key. Whenever he use that private key, then only that data will be appear to him. Okay, so this is the main difference. For encryption and decryption, we use the same key, that is a shared secret key, whereas in asymmetric, for encryption we will use the public key, and for decryption we use the private key. So this is about encryption, one of the cloud security mechanism. Thank you.